more serious than mere ecological disaster. According to his book, The Truth Vibrations, the world as we know it is about to end. David Icke.
Flex like David Icke, flex like David Icke. I think I know the truth. I flex like David Icke. I think I'm David Icke. I flex like David Icke, and I think I know the truth. I think I know the truth. I flex like David Icke, man. I think I know the truth, man. These UFOs are real, and these documents are proof, man. Aliens are here, man. The aliens are here, man. The reptilians are here, man. The Illuminati's listening. Hitler never died. The Holocaust a lie. 6 million Jews. Show me the proof. The moon landing's fake. They never went to space. Our president's a clone. He always gets replaced when he fuck up. The Jews are reptilians. Funding Israel to kill the Palestinians, man. When you wake up, I hope you know the truth, man. Cause David Icke was right. Cause David Icke was right. Flex like David Icke. I think I'm David Icke, man. I flex like David Icke. I think I'm David Icke, man. I know I'm David Icke. Cause I know the truth, and he knows the truth.
Back and you look at religious beliefs, etc. of the ancients and the accounts of the ancients, these entities, which go by different names, some people call them the serpent race, some people call them demonic. In the Islamic culture, they call them jinns. All different names.
Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. X like David Icke. X like David Icke. Think I'm David Icke. I 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 think I'm David Icke, man. I think I'm David Icke, man.
Hello everyone, my name is Avery and welcome to Seldom Dreams. Today we are going to talk about MK Ultra, the mind control virus. So what is MK Ultra? Let's talk about the history of what it is, and then we're going to get how it affects modern day. So in the turn of the century, between the 1800s and the 1900s, it was kind of the boom of what we would call modern day psychology. The social sciences were becoming a really big deal. The hard sciences were too. Just in general, there's a whole explosion of the sciences. And quickly the aristocrats, the avant-garde generation, those rich people then, they wanted to find out, how can we control people's actions? How can we always get it to the point that if we do this, and this, we can get people to do whatever we want to do? So we started seeing people like Sigmund Freud, his nephew Edward Bernays, who were practicing propaganda, or what is now called public relations, that is used to condition people to go left or to go right, to raise their hand or keep it down, to go have sex or not to have sex, to eat or not to eat, to literally do anything, to join the military or not join the military, get a factory job, whatever, what have you. So we had this whole kind of extreme type of thing going on here, where the masses are being able to be directed with what is not quite scientific method, but pretty darn close. So during World War II, Germany, who was not the only people practicing this type of social science, started to research, how can we get someone to do anything we wanted them to do? How can we break them down, remove their morals, remove their own personal guidance, and have them do our personal bidding? And so scientists, Nazi scientists, were doing tests on people, and what they're doing is they're breaking them down through trauma and abuse. I don't need to get into details with you what this trauma and abuse was until the person gets to a point where they forget who they are and their only purpose is to serve their masters. It's really creepy and unsettling. And so when people only serve their masters, masters could say, do this. Yes, master, I'll do this. They'll say, do that. And so this is where we have the phenomena of sex kittens come from, where people will make sex slaves through all this trauma and abuse. You abuse someone so much they forget who they are and they only know the commands that will deliver them from pain and deliver them from suffering. So all these scientists were doing this research, and of course Nazis were not the only ones trying to figure out how to break people down and get them to do whatever you want. There's a huge misconception that the Nazis were the epitome of all evil and the only evil thing to arise in the world, or at least for governments. I know many of you know that's not true, but I know a lot of you might not know that the American government, European governments, other European governments, plenty of Asian governments, African governments, South American governments, most of them don't have their own people's best interest at hand. So obviously, a lot of people wanted to be able to replicate and do what the Nazi scientists were doing. So of course, as many of you know, the Nazi scientists went a little too far, and some of them started to fear their own government, and so they fled to the United States. Now, the American government was very interested in this study, or these studies, and they wanted to be able to capitalize on it. So how does this get tied in? We have the human will. Let's say you wake up today and you say, I want to get this done, I want to get that done, but I want to get this done. How many times do you get all those things done? How often do you? Are there a lot of things that seem like they get in their way, or you just don't get around to it, or you're too tired? Let's continue it like this. So let's bring it back to modern day to bring a more relevant perspective. Okay? When I make eye contact with somebody, the essence of my soul, the essence of everything who I am is transferred into that person. When someone has been abused or someone has been through torture, that frequency can also be transmitted. Notice how I'm using transmission. So there's a sharing of energy. How many times a day do you see an advertisement? How many times a day, whether you're at the gas station or you're at your home or you're at some other place, you see a TV going on, or you hear the radio or hear music? Okay, what scientists in Nazi Germany and the United States discovered is that by tying people's abuse frequencies and abuse emotions and trauma into our entertainment and into our advertisements, we can plant brain viruses in people's brains that obstruct them from doing the things that they want to do and make them either limited in their actions or focusing only on what the government wants them to be doing. All through history, governments have found a way to keep the plebeians or the poor population or the lower class under control, whether that's through brute force or mind control tactics like this. So, symptoms of the MK Ultra virus include depression, lack of self-worth, no friends, low sex drive, addiction to pornography, addictions to masturbation, drug dependencies, scared, fear of leaving your house, phobias of unusual things, sweeping thoughts. Let's say you're just going about your day and you have a scary freak thought just pop up in your head and it's like, it's bothering you, or your inability to keep focus. Ladies and gentlemen, you are bombarded with endless messages every single day from some sort of media source or even from radio waves. We are now to the point many of you heard 432 Hertz as a healing frequency in the universe. Well, yeah, that is a healing frequency, and many YouTube channels, many artists are able to replicate that and turn that into music. But there's also a dark side of this science, and there are abuse frequencies in mainstream music and just in the airways. We are now in the generation that we have 5G internet. 5G internet, they could turn your car off. They can turn your washing machine off. They can open your garage door. Most certainly.
So we are electromagnetic, electrical organisms, transmitters and receivers of information. When our electromagnetic fields are in balance and harmony, we have health. We have psychological health and we have physical health. The reason that this technological society is causing so much psychological and, quote, physical disease
is because these frequencies, technologically driven, and we live in this Wi-Fi world now and all the phone masts and all the rest of it, these technologically generated frequencies are scrambling the balance of the human electromagnetic electrical communication systems. And if you scramble them, you create a state of disharmony, dis-ease, which plays through to physical and mental, emotional, psychological dis-ease. And there's another point to this. The brain processes information electrically. It communicates with the cellular structure electrically, and it operates within a certain band of frequency. If you can broadcast frequencies carrying information, this technology has long been known, carrying information and perceptions within the frequency that the brain decodes information, the brain will decode those frequencies and will have those perceptions. You can influence people's perceptions externally by broadcasting these frequencies that we interact with, because we are antenna. Okay. Now, some decades ago, there was a guy who worked out the frequencies of different emotional states. This is long ago. I mean, it's very, very sophisticated now. So every thought, every emotional response is a frequency. It generates a frequency, and it is of itself a frequency. Hate is a frequency, and it's different to love. You know, when you are in a room and there's lots of aggression and conflict and hatred, you feel it. What do people say? Oh God, you can cut the atmosphere with a knife in there. That is because the frequencies of hate and conflict have been so generated, they have changed the electromagnetic field of the room.
Okay, so 5G is going to be weaponized against us potentially.
Yeah, but the point being that they worked out the frequencies of various emotions, including rage and what have you. And basically, they can play across a community these frequencies without anyone knowing, and it starts to have an effect, and it starts to build rage, it starts to build anger, and people might not realize why they're feeling it, but they start to feel it. And then what they do is they trigger that with an event. Maybe some guy is attacked by the police or something, or somebody's arrested for something they didn't commit, and now there's the trigger. The blue touch paper's been lit of this manufactured frequency-driven rage, and you have mass riots and what have you, and people do things that they wouldn't normally do. And you can make people depressed. You know, the American military, they've admitted this. They have technology that fires frequencies at the enemy that basically breaks the enemy's spirit, so they give up and put their weapons down. This is the technology we're dealing with. Now you take that into account and then you think of 5G. First of all, 5G doesn't travel well because of the nature of its frequency. So instead of big towers, as we have now, broadcasting these frequencies long distances, it won't do that. And it doesn't go through solid objects, what we call solid objects, very well either. So to overcome that, there are going to be boxes broadcasting 5G, this weapon, down every street, all over the world. You're talking phenomenal numbers of these boxes, broadcasting like on the lamp standard outside your children's bedroom and stuff, broadcasting this stuff. There's no way you'll be able to go where you'd be in a field of 5G. And another interesting thing, I don't know whether you've noticed this, but the story broke first of all in Sheffield, when the council started cutting down literally thousands and thousands and thousands of mature trees in urban streets. And there were big protests about it. You know, Sheffield claimed to be a green city, but all these mature trees were coming down, thousands of them. And my brother, he works as a call-out bus mechanic. So a bus will break down, they'll call him, we'll come down and fix it on the side of the road. So he's traveling all the time. And he's saying it's amazing how many mature trees are being cut down. Now, the worst nightmare of 5G in a street is mature trees, because it can't get through them. They don't want urban trees for 5G.
The work of Dr. John Calhoun at the National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. has attempted to answer this question. In a unique experiment that took years to complete, Dr. Calhoun used white mice to study population growth and its effects on individual behavior. In addition to his renowned research papers, he has recorded some of these observations on film. In this 16-cell mouse habitat, utopian conditions of nutrition, comfort, and housing were provided for a potential population of over 3,000 mice. Yet, in spite of ideal conditions, the mouse population met with catastrophe. Individuals were kept track of by color markings on their fur. Factors which normally control population growth, such as predation by owls or cats, were eliminated. Transmissible disease was also reduced. In effect, the mouse universe simulated the present situation of a continually expanding population of humans. To see how Dr. Calhoun's mouse universe grew, we'll use the familiar population graph again. Within the first 100 days, the mice went through the period Dr. Calhoun called strive. This was a period of adjustment. Territories were established and nests were made. The next period lasted about 250 days. The population of the mice doubled every 60 days. This was called the exploit period. The use of resources became unequal. Although each living unit was identical in structure and opportunities, more food and water was consumed in some areas. As the population increased, most mice associated eating and drinking with the presence of others, and crowding developed in certain units. The third period, consisting of 300 days, found the population of mice leveling off. This was called the equilibrium period. Dr. Calhoun noticed that the newer generations of young were inhibited, since most space was already socially defined. At this time, some unusual behavior became noticeable. Violence became prevalent. Excess males strived for acceptance, were rejected, and withdrew. Huddling together, they would exhibit brief flurries of violence among themselves. The effects of violence became increasingly visible. Certain individuals became targets of repeated attack. These individuals would have badly chewed and scarred tails. Other young mice growing into adulthood exhibited an even different type of behavior. Dr. Calhoun called these individuals the beautiful ones. Their time was devoted solely to grooming, eating, and sleeping. They never involved themselves with others, engaged in sex, nor would they fight. All appeared as a beautiful exhibit of the species, with keen, alert eyes and a healthy, well-kept body. These mice, however, could not cope with unusual stimuli. Though they looked inquisitive, they were, in fact, very stupid. Dr. Calhoun called the last period the die phase, leading the population into extinction. Although the mouse utopia could house 3,000, the population began to decline at 2,200. In the shift from the equilibrium to the die phase, each animal became less aware of associates, despite all animals being pushed closer together. Dr. Calhoun concluded that the mice could not effectively deal with the repeated contact of so many individuals. The evidence of violence increased to the point where most individuals had had their tails bitten to some degree. Eventually, the entire mouse population perished. Dr. Calhoun's experiment is a classic example of a typical population and its growth when left unchecked. Research in this area continues under his supervision. Currently, Dr. James Hill has taken the basics of the Calhoun experiment to study social behavior even more closely. In his experiment, rats are used instead of mice. Healthy individuals are selected to start the population. The rats are anesthetized so that Dr. Hill can perform a minor operation necessary to the success of his experiments. A small electromagnetic encapsulated device is implanted into every rat. This small unit enables sensing devices to keep track of the movement and position of each individual in the population. After surgery, the rats are introduced to their new multi-leveled home, all at the same time. The rats immediately begin to explore their new environment prior to organizing territories and nesting. Dr. Hill will trace how individuals move about in crowded situations. This movement is followed by tubular sensing devices. Every time a rat enters or passes through a tube, the unit detects and registers its presence. This constant movement is monitored by computer. Nesting activity is also studied. Dr. Hill has observed that the larger the population, the less care a mother gives to her nest and young. The same type of individuals that resulted in the mouse utopia are also emerging in the rat population. There are aggressives, asocials, and outcasts. Though these studies use animals, the findings about population growth and individual behavior are being closely compared to our own human population. Like all populations that have existed on this planet, many researchers believe that the human race has reached a crucial point in the exploit phase, a point where important decisions must be made and careful planning implemented if we are to survive. The study of plant and animal populations helps us to make decisions about the future of our human population so that we may maintain our own balance with nature.
So let me tell you all a story about Mr. Nasty, one of the best video game antagonists in my opinion, because he's not even in the game, and well, actually we'll get to that. That's a whole nother, that's part of the story. But ladies and gentlemen, you might remember that a while back I played a game known as Manhunt. Manhunt is one of my favorite games. I actually played both of the games on this channel to completion. Manhunt 1 on the PS2 and Manhunt 2 uncensored on the PC. I would suggest you check out those playthroughs. They're pretty dank, but obviously, shameless plugs aside, shameless indeed, we're going to talk about the actual bad guy of Manhunt 1, the one that was never captured or even talked about, because as you may remember, and I'm going to refresh you on the story of Manhunt. Manhunt's about a man named James Earl Cash. He fucks up in the past, and now he's got to go, and he basically gets sent to death. All right, that's already a bad sign. And so after he gets sentenced to death, he gets killed, but he doesn't really get killed. He gets sedated, and eventually he gets put into a snuff film ring or snuff film movie where he's going out and killing people for his life, fighting for his life and shit. So throughout the entire game, you hear Lionel Starkweather in your ear the whole time, that cool director, that interesting lad, and I'll be honest, the voice work on it is perfect. But what you may not know is that the real behind-the-scenes dude, the producer, is Mr. Nasty. Yes, that person on the cover, ladies and gentlemen, he's everywhere in the game. He's on that instruction manual. Alright, he's the one selling this gnarly shit, and he's the man who financially backs the movies, and he's the producer, so really that makes him the actual antagonist. But what's cool is he never really shows up in the game, and you might be wondering why I'm making this video, okay? It's a subject that's long on. For 13 something years, ever since I had the Manhunt games, I've always been intrigued by Mr. Nasty. But what's actually really intriguing are the promotional materials for this game and the lore behind the character, and I'll show you all of it right now in this video. Number one, so the individual Mr. Nasty, one of the promotional materials for Manhunt, is Valiant Video Enterprises. So for those of you who don't know, Valiant Video Enterprises is the illegal production company in the Manhunt 1 lore that produces all these snuff movies. Now the promotional material I got back through Wayback Machine, so it's not all available, but a good majority of it is. Unfortunately, what is missing are the forum sections for this, and the forum sections were amazing. When I was a kid, I was into Manhunt. I wanted this game. Now, I didn't get it until well after its release. I think maybe I got it about 3 years after, I would suppose, on the PlayStation 2. But the game, at the time, was actually, I think, banned in Canada, or it was heavily restricted because they started to classify it as a movie. So all I really had to go on was this kind of stuff. Now, I understand for a kid my age, obviously, not even like 10, really, this was probably effed up material, okay? I mean, I was 10 when I got the game, really, but this is messed up material, and I shouldn't have been watching it, but, you know, I watched it anyways, and I think I turned out fine, so I don't know, I guess I'll use that as an example. But here is fetish, hardcore, and brutality, and it fits so well with those red rooms we see on the deep web, ladies. Basically, Manhunt in itself is what a red room would be if they existed. But here, as you can see, this is Mr. Nasty's website, the true antagonist of Manhunt. He's got fetish, hardcore, and brutality. Videos are made to order. You can make custom shit. Contact Mr. Nasty for pricing and inquiries. Now, I never really understood if you actually contacted them, would the webmaster respond back and say, oh yeah, dude, we got snuff for days. All right, you go down, he's got DVD. That was a hot commodity back then. You know, most people didn't really have a DVD player. That was like that was some rich man shit. You had the VHS, all right? VHSs were the bomb, all right, until they started fucking up. You got MPEG and all other formats available by request. So Mr. Nasty is clearly a very handy individual. Now down over here, you can't really view any of these videos, but these are basically gameplay snippets of Manhunt. You know, over here you can see the first, this is the second level of the game, and here's James Earl Cash beating the shit out of somebody out there. You know, makes sense. You're shooting a snuff movie, for God's sakes. It's even in snuff like 50p. You go over here to all new Valiant Hall of Pain gallery, Mr. Nasty's finest. Let's open this shit up. Alright, so we're gonna fire that up. You got Hall of Pain, my trusted instant camera gallery. Back then, I didn't call it digital camera, they called that shit instant. Of course, you can see this box of Happy Snap film, I swear. Looks like it's a box of fucking heavy grade military condoms. You got down here, just smile, point, shoot, capture that moment forever. Any submitted shots will be checked for authenticity, and I love this shit, okay? So this is basically like Mr. Nasty's pre-Instagram shit. You got Mr. Nasty over here, alright? The man with the mask, the luchador right there. He's setting up for a night of mischief. I think maybe, whatever. And there you go. You got one other person you're beating up. You got this person right here. You got gone shopping and given a good kicking. And I love these fucking... I honor pain, Mr. Nasty. It's like the most emo shit you can say, dude. But anyways, this is Mr. Nasty's Hall of Pain. You can go to the adult store, by the way. Satisfaction guaranteed. Members only. If you're not a member, you can piss off. Valiant Video Enterprises is now offering a catalog of some great lifestyle merchandise. Note that these goods being offered exclusively to our members will be delivered by a Valiant Video Enterprises courier via specified drop location. Alright, so you can basically use any major credit cards, no CODs, no personal checks. I really don't know how credit cards would work. You think they'd be able to trace that shit. But alright, Mr. Nasty, we got you. So you can buy a plastic bag which is strong and durable, engaging message on the front, easily folds away into pocket, pack of 3. Now, of course, if you're buying 3 plastic bags for $30, you know, you probably deserve to get kicked in the face. You can get latex gloves for $9.99. You can get a latex glove pouch for $20. You can get professional VHS tapes for all your snuff recording needs for $18. You can get a wooden bat for $150. That's a lot of fucking money. Some are stained with blood and other fluids. Other fluids? What the fuck? And then you got garrote wire for $29. You can get a hammer for 20. You can get a cleaver for 45. You can get a gimp mask for 200. One size fits all, by the way. You can get a sickle, nightstick, machete. Oh, these are probably fucking machete's probably pretty cheap, but the chainsaw is 500, and it comes with a signature mark. And if you get $500 and above, you get a free gift with every order. You get a Hello My Name Is set of 6 stickers. Now, I don't know if you could buy anything, but Mr. Nasty says, I guarantee absolute satisfaction 100% of the time. Oh, I bet you do, Mr. Nasty. I bet you do. Now, aside from this, you can't really access the member forums, which is the downside to all of this. Alright, you can't really see what Mr. Nasty's, people are writing. But in the game, they have lore elements where they talk about killing the reporter in the game, which is, interesting stuff indeed. But moving on, these are the set of pop-up ads that appeared on, websites and stuff, alright? These are the pop-up sites, so you can get real hardcore, real fetish, order your videos to order, and then you go to the second one, which is all new Valiant Online Store exclusive lifestyle goods. Real hardcore, click here for instant act. You can tell by the radio button over there, not the radio button, but you can tell by the actual button down there, that's a pretty old fucking ad. Then you got free sample clips, right? And it's actually somebody getting their throat slit and shit. Adults act now, we show it all. Videos to order. And then you got a pop-up ad or something over here, which if you give me a second, let me play that back.
Valiant Video Enterprises, real hardcore, real fetish, real brutal. Videos made to order. New members only interactive forums. Now at www.valiant-ent.tv.
It's so fucking cringy. Holy shit, Mr. Nasty. All your spookiness is slowly draining away. What the fuck? Bottom line, though, the website that I just showed you looks like this nowadays. Somebody else actually bought it, and they have a Manhunt 3 petition with about 839 signatures so far. So, from what we've learned about Mr. Nasty, he's that one protagonist that never shows up. Now, I have a theory about Mr. Nasty, okay? A lot of people say he's one of the Hoods members, which kind of makes sense because we saw a photo of that just now, and the Hoods are one of the first gangs you see. They are the first gang you see. And I don't think that makes a lot of sense because I don't know why Mr. Nasty, the rich snuff film leader, would hide amongst a pack of lowly Hoods. And a lot of people say that you kill him in the first or second mission. I don't believe that. You really think Mr. Nasty will put himself in that line? Okay, Mr. Nasty is perf, as the kids these days say it. Okay, he's not going to put himself in danger. He's got this planned out. Now, I have a theory about Mr. Nasty. I think maybe, his granddad was he had a snuff film ring. He fought in the Korean War. And at the time over there, he probably developed a snuff film ring out over there where they just, gathered a bunch of Koreans, killed them and shit. And at one point, they had a drive-by shooting, killed Mr. Nasty's granddad. And Mr. Nasty came in. I don't know where the fuck his parents are at this point. And he had the hockey mask on like he does in the fucking cover art for the game. And he's like, Granddad, I will avenge you. I will go to America and start my own snuff ring. And that's the backstory to Mr. Nasty. And I think honestly, I've seen all this promotional material for Red Dead, the new Red Dead game. We know it's Red Dead, okay? Obviously, it's not the ever long awaited Rockstar Presents Table Tennis 2, as much as I would love that, all right? And I'm okay with Red Dead. I think Red Dead's going to be a great game. I'm excited. But one game that I truly am excited for is a Manhunt 3 announcement. And I don't think a time could be any more perfect than now, considering we have VR, and considering games are already violent as shit anyways. Come on, Rockstar, you can make Manhunt. And imagine Manhunt with the graphics engines of Rockstar's today. They could make the most grittiest, creepiest, spookiest snuff shit in the entire world, and I would eat it up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about a possible Manhunt 3. Let me know if you'd want that. I would love it, okay? Or at least just release the game on, iPhone or something so I can make my snuff shit on the go or whatever. But ladies and gents, that was Manhunt 3's Mr. Nasty. I wanted to show it to you because for 13 years I've always just guessed about Mr. Nasty. And I figured, if I'm going to make a video on a spooky video game antagonist, it's going to be Mr. Nasty, the character that never really shows up, but he is, in fact, the real antagonist of the Manhunt series. So tell me what you think about him. Tell me what you think Mr. Nasty could be. Is he a demon from a parallel dimension? All right, is he fucking SpongeBob or something? Is it SpongeBob's alter ego? That'd be fucking scary as shit. Or is he just in general a sick fuck? I think I'd go with the sick fuck option. That's a pretty pretty good solid bet there. But ladies and gents, let me know what you thought about it. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I hope I taught you something new about a video game character, or at least opened your mind to someone really cool that I don't look up to, you know, but considering, you know, the guy is a snuff film leader, you know. But let me know what you think about it. The dude that runs the snuff ring of Carcer City, Mr. Nasty, never really gets talked about. This dude's like the Illuminati of video game bosses. He's got it all going on. He's playing chess while we're all playing checkers. This is me, Mutahar, and I am out.
What's happening, guys? My name is Alex, and in this video, guys, I'm going to talk about red rooms. Now, what red rooms are, I'm going to switch to Tor browser in a second, but I'm going to explain what the red rooms are and if they are real or not. So make sure to smash the like button down below already. Let's get started with this deep web video, and let's go to Tor browser. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, we are on Tor browser, and first of all I'm going to go to the hidden wiki because that's actually like the portal of where you want to go. So I'm going to type in the search bar hidden wiki, and let's go there and let's see what we're going to end up with, because I just want to have like a hidden wiki page. So let me go to the hidden wiki real quick, and I'm on the hidden wiki, as you guys can see. So basically, guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to not like search for it, because red rooms, I'm going to explain to you guys what red rooms are. Red rooms are basically live streams where you can watch people getting tortured or even murdered. I'm not kidding. You can even like people, of course, they want like money, so you need to pay. Like I don't know how much, but you pay, and then you can watch people like on a live stream dying or whatever. It is that sick, of course. So I'm not sure like if this is real or not, because I've never seen one and I don't want to see one at all. So I don't know what the hell is going on right there in those red rooms. But if those are real, then it's going to be a serious issue that I cannot show you guys anything of. Because I can show you guys like a picture of the hidden wiki. I can show up the thumbnail if I want to, because I cannot go into a red room and show you guys how someone is getting killed. If you guys know what I'm trying to say. So it is that sick, guys, and it's probably going to be a little bit shorter DWAP video, you know, as usual, because it is just that messed up. Because I don't think, like, why would you even live stream this? Because here's the problem, guys. A lot of people say, like, dude, the hidden wiki is something really bad. But guys, deep web in general, Tor was created by the US Navy to send back and forth files that would not maybe seen like in the outside world. So what they did is they just made like a service, like a browser that's completely anonymous, and then they just went on there. But the bad thing is, because you're anonymous, nobody can trace you. It got abused, so everyone started selling drugs on there. People want to just make money, so they just put everything on there, like drugs, weapons, like even live streams and everything. So red rooms are just live streams of people getting killed. It is. I have no words for that, of course. If this is real, I'm like completely blown away. Since if it's going to exist, then I don't know, guys. But as you guys can see on the hidden wiki. Right now, you can see that you will not see any like random links to like red rooms, because what I heard, what I read online, is that you need to get an invitation to join a red room. You're not going to find red rooms on like the hidden wiki, because the problem is, guys, everyone says it, like you're not going to find red rooms until you're actively searching for them. So you will not stumble upon red rooms because they're actually that bad. But I don't know, guys. It's just like you need to like to search for them in order to find, you know, red rooms. And I've never searched for any of because why would I see this in the first place? And I cannot make videos about it because I cannot show anything. That's not allowed on YouTube. So I just wanted to explain to you guys what red rooms are and what they do on the deep web and how they work and everything. Because I think it's just like a page. Like the quality is probably going to be like 240p, because how can you live stream like on the deep web with like a proxy, and you know, so many, because the deep web is really slow, so it's going to be really difficult to live stream, of course. So I don't know, guys, let me know what you think of this in the comment section below, and I'm really curious what you guys are thinking. Like, is this real or not? That's basically this deep web video, guys. I know it's really short, but the future videos will be like even maybe 10 minutes or longer, because I just wanted to explain to you guys. That's the bad thing. I cannot, you know, browse through sites like Drugs and Weapons, because I cannot show anything of red rooms. I don't even know where they are, so I've never looked for them.